Welcome back to the Wondercat channel, where today we tackle Set 3 Aquatic Invaders. Set 3 was definitely an interesting turning point in the BSS TCG, as it released the last colour of our couple, blue, and started leading us into the boxes being balanced much more appropriately. So Set 3 might have just been the turning point for this game, but why is that? Well, similar to Set 2, it introduced a new colour for us to play with, and with it more card archetypes and a whole new way to play the game. On top of this, Aquatic Invaders also fixed the SPR issues that Set 2 previously had. That's already a win in my book. The box topper for Set 3 was also pretty intriguing, a holographic variant of the 3 token cards that were currently in the game, being a Mecha token, an Ant token, or a Golem token. These cards were already miles above what we were previously given for box toppers, Set 1 having weird silver foiled rare cards, and whilst Beam Rifle, the Thorn Prison Gundam collab promo from Set 2 was really nice, Thorn Prison also had an SPR that looked arguably as good, if not better, so that was kind of a letdown. Personally, I think that these tokens were fine for what they are. They were definitely a really cool addition to your deck if you could pick up a couple, especially the Ant-Man ones. I love the Ant-Man ones. Funnily enough though, these cool holographic tokens have kind of aged both well and poorly, since we have also received other foil tokens with Ava skins. Also, it should be mentioned that for some ungodly reason, Set 6's new token deck centered around our sushi cards and the feast mechanic, we aren't being given tokens in the set. Why? But this video wasn't made for ranting on about Set 6, of course. We're going to get to that another day, so let's get back to the topic at hand. So Aquatic Invaders had jumped from 12x rares in Set 2 to 14 in this set, making it somewhat harder to collect specific cards. This didn't necessarily bother me all that much, as it makes going to your locals, participating in events, and opening up those prize packs much more enjoyable. Set 3 also gave us another box topper of sorts, with each box coming with a small pack of cards either centered around monsters, nexuses, or magic, 6 cards in them, all foiled, and in each pack, regardless of theme, include a foil copy of Type 90 Tankmobile, a foil that was never actually released in Set 1, something that I had also completely forgotten to mention in Set 1's in-review video. Oh my gosh. On top of this, there was a chance that these packs could also come in textured foiling similar to X-Rays. I think if you were a more casual player or spender, these little packets of extra foils were a nice touch, since the majority of the cards included did actually translate into fairly playable cards at the time. I guess it's a little disappointing we didn't get a foil card from Set 3 included in these packs, but beggars can't be choosers. I mean, it's a freebie. You buy packs, you buy a box, you get free things, like, yeah, it's cool. So Set 3 had incentivized people to purchase more sealed product, and from what I'd been told by store owners, Set 3 was the first time stores weren't locked in to purchasing a certain amount of product. One thing that can definitely hurt a game is when there's both too much product or not enough. We see both extremes with Bandai games, surprisingly. BSS's Set 1 and 2 would line shop shelves until it would hit record lows of $20 per box due to the mass amount of supply and little to no demand. Once the chain had collapsed and stores weren't ordering cases on cases, we see this resurgence where Set 3 managed to actually survive slightly better in both terms of shelf life and singles prices. Whilst Aquatic Invaders started to stabilize in terms of the secondary market and at least held a little better in terms of sealed value, that didn't necessarily mean it was going to be any good for the meta, or if the cards would actually shake up the game in any substantial way. Of course, there was a lot of hype surrounding the inclusion of blue and its new archetypes, but were they what we would need to be to get something out of this color to blow it out of the water, no pun intended, and put Set 3 on this road to actually making BSS a successful game? How did Aquatic Invaders do? Well, starting off, the set introduced the Sanctuary Nexuses, a group of cards that would spread across each color and would have their own sub-archetype of sorts. Each one would get an X-ray in their respective color, as well as a couple lower rarity cards supporting to help search out their nexus. From a limited perspective, this was certainly interesting. It was arguably the first time that cards had kind of synergized with each other in this way outside of just naming a specific card type. Being able to search for a given nexus that may help your board state was a really cool way of spicing up limited and rewarding you for playing that color. There's also the caveat that prior to Set 5, we didn't have many color-fixing cards in BSS, and limited decks would very often just be janky messes of these couple of booster packs that had opened up, just messes of commons and rares, and hopefully you pull the Bomb X rare. So this was certainly refreshing to see and experience. The X rares surrounding this mechanic weren't all that special in my opinion. They ultimately felt a little lackluster considering how much of the actual set revolved around this particular sub-archetype of cards. The one exception to this, at least for me, would be Trident Dragon, but he still didn't see too much success, and at least in high competitive levels of play. I think that if Set 3 were to be remembered for anything, though, it would definitely be its focuses on the Nexuses. Between the Sanctuary Nexuses and the inclusion of blue, it was very apparent that this set was going hard on that Nexus Matters theme. All that's good and dandy, but ultimately the biggest benefactor in Set 3 was probably the Green Nexus Hurricane Highlands. This card has got to be one of the craziest things I have ever seen in this game. It doesn't necessarily feel busted, but the amount of value one can generate with even a single copy on the board over the course of a game can be tremendous. I have recently played a game against a green-blue deck that would run this, and the man had ramped 19 cores in a turn. It didn't matter how many cards I had. I either kill him on that turn, or he untaps and he just outvalues me. It's insane. It's a crazy card. This card had also transformed the strength of Gale and Fang, printed in set 3. A Voidlord Spirit that cost 10 with 6 reduction sounds like a tall order to summon it in Constructed, but when you get to ramp 3 cores on summon with 1 Highlands out, or 6 cores with 2, you can basically throw your entire hand onto the board, ramping through the entire process. That's what happened. Yep. That's gameplay. Fang decks were particularly strong around this time, and with a few new of the blue cards included, we had the beginnings of our first functioning multicolored deck. Aquatic Invaders also gave us one of the coolest filter sources we'd seen so far in Strong Draw. This card doesn't necessarily generate you value, as it's a draw 3, discard 2 while using itself, letting you go even in hand advantage, but the filtering power is insane, especially when considering its cost of 3 with 2 reduction. A potential 1-cost, draw 3, discard 2, the closest thing we could get in this game to Graceful Charity in Yu-Gi-Oh! That card's banned, by the way. Strong Draw's filter effect can only be used during the main phase, though this is probably what keeps the card in check, since discard effects can have powerful synergies like being able to pitch immortal targets to your grave. This is also why decks enjoyed Volcanic Canyon so much, as it was an amazing filter engine and has recently been limited to 1 just because of how strong it is as a consistent source of card draw. Set 3 also gave us Ritual Fire, which was like a slower but more efficient form of removal to Burning Force, since it could hit that 4k mark BP threshold that Spirits had started sitting on, like Ant-Man, and they couldn't get blown up by Burning Force, so this was just so much stronger. The card could be run alongside Burning Force as well. It just made, Red just keeps getting all the good stuff. It's no wonder Set 4 happened the way it did. Double Heart, another red card, was also an interesting Magic printed, a card that at flash speed could give a spirit you control another symbol as long as it had the Soul Core on it. This effect is basically what we will be receiving in Set 6 with the Link mechanic, so Double Heart will probably be seeing less play from Set 6 onwards, but the card definitely stole wins here and there. I still run it in my Red-Purple Skybinders list. I steal plenty of games with it still. It is a really good card, especially if you can just sneak in an Astral attacker like Mitza. It's one of the reasons why I do play it, just because being able to swing for free with a Astral target and then double hiding, it's free real estate. Red also got given another disgustingly anti-aggro card, and it was kind of even an aggro card in itself. Camellia Whip, a cheap card that could both threaten your opponent's life total whilst protecting yours. This card would often be subject to Beldegor's ETB effect because some decks just couldn't deal with it in any other conceivable way. This card being able to summon a spirit, a very cheap spirit, put it at 3 cores where nothing else really kills it at this point in time except for purple's core removal or a Soul Cord Volcanic Break. Being able to swing with it, have it live, or have it hit your opponent, having it sit exhausted and just say, look, you need something over 5k to even take life off me, is it was a pretty good card. Set 3 did also give us the Genbu meta, a couple of months where Fabled Beast had reigned supreme, a meta where Dual Eagle would be able to swing unblocked every turn with Genbu's attack trigger, giving even a single attack each turn a 2-point swing minimum. You lose one, I gain one, and we're just going to keep playing like that for 4 more turns. Whilst I did enjoy seeing a yellow deck success, as I am a yellow boy at heart, it was certainly short-lived with the introduction of Set 4 and what was printed around then. As for the All-Star All-Rounders, Olrune was probably one of the biggest cards from Set 3 that would find homes in both green decks and the green-blue Nexus variants. That card, the card that had a solid stat line, was able to ramp you, had great defensive capabilities, making it an amazing mid-range card. This paired up with green Sanctuary gave you a large amount of early pressure and showed that whilst the set was introducing blue, green was certainly not forgotten. But what do I think about blue's overall introduction? Well, outside of Strong Draw, I think Set 3 didn't really do all that great of a job for blue. At least power-wise anyway. Blue introduced the Crush mechanic, a mill trigger on attack. Mill has always been a fringe win con at best, as alternate win cons have been nerfed heavily not to destroy the integrity or well-being of a game, of how a game is meant to be played. Mandala and the War God archetype was very underwhelming, and whilst Mandala received this set Saga Rare, it still didn't hype me up to blue as a colour. Blue did come with aberrations, however, which I was much more interested in. Sweet shark, kraken, squid-looking alien sea monsters was an awesome inclusion. Oh my god. I saw, The only problem with them was that basically all of them were vanillas or irrelevant outside their X-Ray Cthulhu Shark. My God, I love him. He's so cool. I don't want to go back down that vanilla rabbit hole, as, you know, I've literally touched on this in the previous 2 set reviews, but I think it's important to note that these were the first couple of sets, the building blocks of your game. You cannot make all these cards vanillas and have them not do anything. I understand that you're like, we might need to, you know, balance them for limited or something. Like the rules for limited are already terrible. Like, just rework how limited works so that the rest of your cards can actually do something. Maybe they just don't want to waste the design space. Not waste it, but like they don't want to fit everything into one set. So then, look, you know, we got to think more sets ahead. Like, we don't want 3-4 vanilla spirits in a pack of cards. You know, like that's just it's kind of insulting. Either way, I was keen to see what would be released in the future, knowing that we would see more aberrations moving forward. So the set had a bunch of arguably good cards and staples, but what was it like to open? Well, I'll tell you right now, it felt 10 times better knowing that there was no chance your box would be a dead box without an SPR. That was already a win for me, you know. The fact this was also the point where they'd fixed the rare ratios properly too was also a breath of fresh air. These 2 issues being addressed was already heading in the right direction, at least in terms of opening and purchasing boxes. I think that between the Sanctuary sub-archetypes spread across each color, the larger pool of X-rares, the fixed ratios for boxes, the set was already looking like a success to me. Similar to Set 1, Strong Draw was fast becoming a staple and received its own SPR, an amazing looking one at that. I remember how much praise the card got for its beauty when it was first released. Being able to pull one of these was also a contributing factor as to wanting to open Set 3 product. SPR Strong Draw. I love you. Aquatic Invaders printing pushed the meta in several ways between Genbu, Fang, and its Gale shenanigans to the introduction of the game's final color. It was about as much as what you could ask for when the set came out. For the scale score for this set, I want to put 3 at a admirable... Yeah, we're probably going to put it at a 5 out of 10. Aquatic Invaders had to deal with the garbage fire mess that Set 1 and 2 was, as well as performing well with its limited card space to introduce another whole color while supporting the previous 5. Like, we need to also give green more support, catch up on, you know, the other 4 colors on top of introducing blue. Like, I think it did a reasonable job for that, though. You know, the ratios were all fixed in terms of your rarity and pull rates and stuff. The set managed to build on both older archetypes while giving us newer ones, strong identities like the Seafey, their Nexus and Token shenanigans. The green-blue deck that used like Pollen and used Alrune together, mixed that in with Fang and Hurricane Highlands, like using Pollen to get Highlands out onto the board for free. It was a really cool like toolboxy deck, and this was also a deck where you could obviously play Strong Draw. You know, I was kind of disappointed we didn't get a blue Void Lord that is lore related. We did get Colosseum Golem, which if you look at the card, it basically covers that Void Lord slot. It is a 10 drop in blue with 6 reduction, like all our other Void Lord boys. That being said, the introduction of blue didn't pop the way I would have liked, but I guess since it is the newest colour and with such a limited card pool, it wasn't likely the colour would make such a splash, at least until a set or two later. I do think Set 3 definitely started paving the way for the future of BSS, showing that Bandai was intent on ironing out the issues that its predecessor sets had failed to deliver on. Aquatic Invaders was the turning point for BSS, and I think for anyone that was still around for the game, we were excited to see how things would be supported moving into Set 4. But that's it for Set 3 anyway. Had a lot of fun writing this one. In particular, especially because just before recording it and whatnot, I'd gone out of my way and I managed to purchase a couple of Set 3 boxes fairly cheap, surprisingly. The singles, at least around me, some of them are still holding a little bit of value, so it's good. I did enjoy opening it. It did feel very nostalgic. I think a lot more than what Set 1 and Set 2 did, which was kind of surprising. I think it just was because the list of like decent cards from Set 3 actually was a lot better than what I think we originally give it credit for. Like we all think about staples and we think, oh, Ice Shield, Starblast, you know, Thorn Prison, but like Set 3 did have quite a few bangers, so you know, it was really cool to see. I am, however, looking forward to Set 4's script because, my God, that's going to be... I feel like half of it's going to be rant. Oh, this is going to be good. As many of you guys may know, or you know, if any of you newer players are there, you're gonna hear exactly what Set 4 did to the game. And, you know, a lot of what the recent ban list was actually due to Set 4's presence. And, you know, it was a long time coming, but Bandai, or BSS at least, got around to finally fixing it. And I feel like the meta is a lot healthier for it. But that is for another video. Surely Set 4 will, you know, have a higher score, at least in terms of playability and overall, you know, strength and whatnot, but we can only see in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in Set 4. Ta-ta.